Let's just say you want to use this downtime to optimize one of your leadership capabilities or build a new one, add something new to your toolkit. How are you going to go about doing that? By the end of this video, I'm going to leave you with a strategic process to pick out something to work on, put it in context of your business challenge, and develop a plan. For the best strategies to take your career to the next level, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you can be notified whenever I post new content every Tuesday and Friday. I'm Christina dellisanti-Miller of Full Potential Realized, and I spent about 20 years in big corporates consulting to and developing leaders. And I started a not-for-profit supporting women to go into STEM careers. I've helped hundreds of women take their career to the next level, in many instances beyond what they thought was possible. Let's say there's 3 things you can do to expand your leadership capacity. One is to build, one is to borrow, and one is to banish. Build is to either build a new skill set or enhance the one you already have. Borrow is to pull a team of people together that you can deploy who have complementary skill sets to you. And these are people that you help develop over time and help gain traction in their careers, and you can delegate to them. And banish is when you're actually eliminating a habit or a practice, something that's in your way. So today we're just going to focus on build, and we'll address borrow and banish in other videos. And this process for building a new capability or expanding one that you already have has several steps. So I'm going to give you a handout. I'll put a link to it in the description so you don't have to take notes right now if you don't want to, because there's a lot to it. Okay, so before we dive in, I'm curious about what you've done to build leadership capabilities that's worked. And if you don't mind sharing in the comments below your best tip, if you think about the time when you built the most important capability for your career that made the biggest difference, how did you go about doing it, and what were the things that mattered in terms of the results you were able to produce? Here we go. First step, check your mindset. You know how they say check yourself before you wreck yourself? Who says that? There's a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck that I think is such a fabulous read, really interesting. And the idea, which I'm sure you probably heard, but just to put a fine point on it, if you have a growth mindset, it's different from a fixed mindset, and a growth mindset will get you a lot further. And we all have both of them, growth and fixed, but the important thing is to notice when you're in fixed mindset and pivot to growth. So what are they? Growth is when you think, I don't know how to do this, but I can learn. And through practice and fine-tuning my experience, I can iterate and keep building my skill. That's growth. Fixed is when you think, I'm not good at that, or I am good at that, and it's a natural talent and there's nothing I can do about it. So for example, if you think to yourself, like, I'm just not a good manager, that's a fixed mindset. The premise that Carol Dweck makes in the book is that everybody can learn everything pretty much. And maybe some people will have a natural talent, but that's not the big differentiator. The differentiator is just deciding that you're going to learn and practicing. So I'm going to go ahead and lay out all the steps, and then I think I'm going to put it in another video because otherwise it's going to be quite long. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to take you through each of the steps and prepare a development plan for a specific leadership capability. Second step is to define a business challenge that's going to set the context for this, because to just develop something in a vacuum is not that interesting, it's not that compelling, and it doesn't really have juice. But if you think about, okay, what's the business challenge that I want to solve, or where can I have the most business opportunity, and putting in context, that makes it a lot more relevant and sticky, if you will. So for instance, I'm recording this in the middle of the coronavirus quarantine, and businesses are thinking differently about a lot of things. How do they do business when everybody's in their house? How do they provide value in a way that doesn't require people to participate physically? Some businesses are generating completely new ways of interacting with their clients that before they didn't think was possible, right? So at a time like this, being able to lead in a way that's innovative to take the opportunity and make something out of it. So in this case, the context is in the middle of a pandemic, what business opportunities can we create that focus on new ways of doing things that both help people during this time, but also help businesses to continue to do well and to survive. So the way to think about what business challenge you want to focus on is what is the most pressing thing, either what's the most important thing to solve or what's the best opportunity, what's the thing that's going to provide you with the most runway and growth. So the third step then, once you've looked at your mindset, looked at the business context, you want to think about what is the desired state for this particular initiative, this effort. If it worked out really well, what results would I produce for the business and what results would I produce for myself? Step 4 is optional, but I like it because it narrows the field of things you can focus on. So you're looking for a model, like a leadership model, that's going to highlight how you're expected to be being in this particular environment. So it creates an opportunity to put yourself in context and alignment with either the organization or the profession. So for instance, your company may have a leadership model and it may outline the key things that are valued and important and that matter for success in your particular industry or your particular function. Another thing you can do is to look at a thought leader. So like a Center for Creative Leadership or DDI. I like Korn Ferry, and in this example I'm going to use a Korn Ferry model, the leader that self-disrupts, and it's ADAPT, which is for quickly moving or rapidly changing environments. It's a leadership model that's appropriate for now, and I think it's super relevant for the particular moment we're in. So once you've selected your competency model, if you use one, now you're going to hone in on one competency that you want to focus on building. And it's the thing that's going to give you the most bang for the buck for the development challenge, for the business opportunity that you've already outlined. And I like to use the Career Architect Development Planner. This is such a great tool. I've been using this forever, and it outlines for each competency, what does it look like in terms of behaviors when it's done well? What does it look like when you're unskilled? And what does it look like when you're overusing the strength? Because on either end of the continuum, in the middle you have effective use of that particular competency, and then on either end, too much or too little, it becomes a weakness. So the first thing, which I think is so hugely concrete and helps you to operationalize, what are we talking about and what does it look like when it's done well? And you can use that as a checklist to say, am I doing these behaviors? Am I not doing them? You can get one of these online. This is an old one. If you buy a new one, they're more up to date, but they're expensive. They're like $125 or something, but you can get an old one for like, I don't know, $12, $4. And the competencies are the same. The thing that's up to date in the new ones is all the resources that they provide. But some of this stuff is online, and I will say that I have seen actually this whole book online. I don't know if somebody was violating their license agreement, but if you want to just go and have a peek, I mean, I would really buy one to be ethical, but if you want to just get a sense of what's in there to see if it's something that's valuable, you can check it out. Just, I think, Google Career Architect Development Planner. The other thing is Korn Ferry on their website has elements of this, and they have little video vignettes that outline the competencies and things that you can do to develop in those areas. So in this step, you're going to look through the list of competencies and pick a couple that you think might be best aligned, and you're going to just look at those descriptions and those definitions to see which one is going to best serve you to meet that business challenge. For step 6, you just want to look at those behaviors and get a baseline of how are you delivering them? Which ones are you feeling confident about? Which ones are you not delivering it? Are you not delivering them because you don't know how to do them and this is something that you would need to learn? Are you not doing them because you actually do know how to use them but you don't choose to, and so it's a matter of putting it into your routine and integrating it into how you do work? Right? So just get a sense of where am I now with this particular competency in a grounded way with these practical, behaviorally based bullets. Once you've looked at where you are with that particular competency, before we jump into building the plan, step 7 is to think about what is the impact if I operate with my current state or if I build it. So you're just kind of testing the idea of, am I getting the bang for the buck if I focus on this one, and what happens if I do nothing? Right? Because you always want to have a really compelling reason to spend time and effort developing something. And if this is something that's going to matter, then great. you'll follow through. Step 8 is to build the plan. So if you decide, yes, it's worth it, this is the thing that I'm going to focus on and it's going to produce some difference that's meaningful for me, then you're going to, first thing is read through the chapter on that competency. So it has, after the unskilled, skilled, and overused skill, it also has some causes. Causes, if this is not an area that's a strength, some mindsets that may be in the way, or just some reasons why you might have landed up here. The map, how it fits into the big picture and why this particular competency matters. Then you have some remedies for learning on your own. And it just gives you ideas about things that you can do to practice. Because one of the things we believe in development is that adults learn by doing, and it's great to read about it, but it's kind of like talking about dancing. Talking about dancing is not dancing. So in order to kind of get the sense of it, you actually have to do it and iterate and keep kind of getting feedback, trying it, experimenting, and really getting a sense of it. Then it talks about who you can get feedback from, whether it's your direct reports, customers, for instance, peers or colleagues. So it gives you the best resources for feedback for that particular competency. The next section is learning from develop and place assignments. So the first one was little things you can do. This section is bigger things that you can do, all the way up to full-time jobs. And it gives you some kinds of courses that you can use and some readings to develop in this particular area. So this is like the encyclopedia of things you can do to develop yourself. Really useful tool. Once you read the whole chapter, then it's time to think about which of these things would I be willing to try and commit to. So you might start with a reading and kind of get the bigger picture and the context. You might pick some small things that you can do on the job, maybe a kind of project that you can take on, and some feedback sources that you're going to connect with. So in a subsequent video, as I said, I'm going to illustrate this whole thing and give you a very specific plan, but here I'm just giving you the outline. So now that you've developed the plan, you want to put it into existence in your calendar. So you're putting in milestones, you're putting in by when dates, you might be setting up meetings that you're going to talk about it with a mentor, a manager, a peer, so there's some kind of structure and form to it. Then you execute the plan, ask for feedback, and monitor the impact that you're making with your new and expanded behaviors. And you're just continuing to fine-tune and build it, layer one with another, right? So you're continuing to always expand your capability. Sometimes it's your technical skills, sometimes it's your interpersonal skills, and those come together to form a platform of skills and capabilities and tools that give you a chance to try many different kinds of roles, but have the underpinnings or the fundamentals to be successful. So that's the process. I'd love to hear what questions you have and what you find out by trying it. Developing your talents is just one step in a bigger process. And if you'd like to learn more about how to take your career to the next level and accelerate your advancement, check out my free training on the whole process at fullpotentialrealized.com/advance. I'll put a link in the comments. Check out these other videos on getting promoted, expanding your responsibility, taking on more leadership, or just upping your compensation. If you liked this video, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and I look forward to seeing you next time.